For those of you guys seeking a who is better video between Ulquiorra and Yamamoto, let me just say two answers. For starters, in most PvE content, you're not going to be using Ulquiorra for power-only content, and you're not going to be using Yamamoto for speed-only content. However, there is one game mode in which they share one characteristic, and that is nuking in guild quests. For that, I recommend checking out Tuki Bankai's channel because he did make a video comparing the actual soul bomb damage between Ulquiorra and Yamamoto, so go ahead and check it out. Like, you guys can pretty much see who clearly wins in the nuking department, which, by the way, shout outs to my guy. I'm happy to have helped out with the actual video. But now it's time to go ahead and begin the who is better video between Uryu and Ulquiorra. So roll the intro. Alrighty, what is going on, you guys? This is your boy the Vast Master, and welcome back to yet another Bleach Brave Souls video. And today we are going to be comparing the top two dogs for the speed attribute, and that is 3rd anniversary Ulquiorra to 7th anniversary Uryu. Both of these characters are contending with the numero uno title, and it's time to determine who takes it. Even though I did rank up Ulquiorra as number 1 on my top 10 list, it's time to pretty much, go ahead and dive deeper into that. And oh, by the way, they're both max transcended T20, so you guys are going to be getting the ultimate comparison from yours truly. So before we go ahead and jump right into the comparison aspect, let's just take a look at everything else that needs to be, taken into account. The stats, the skills, and the kit. So let's start off with Uryu, since he came out back in 7th anniversary. This character has double killers of a Ronker and no affiliation. He's got strong attack ratio time of -12%. And hold on real quick. Yeah, there we go. Swapped out the bonus ability, so now Ulquiorra and Uryu both have full stamina damage boost and weakened defense. And the kit that this guy has, he's got a 3k length beam on the SA1. The SA2 is going to be a lunge that starts off being at around 800 plus radius and then goes into full screen, so it's got two phases. It's a pretty damn good strong attack at that, and then the third strong attack is full screen. So the kit is marvelous, but what about the actual skills? Let's just take a look at everything else. Now, this guy comes armed with the gauge mechanic, so upon filling it up, you basically gain 100% Berserker for 10 seconds and also 50% damage reduction. And on top of that, every time you activate the gauge, you will activate the gauge effect of strong attack recharge of 30%, which basically reduces the cooldown by 30% of your strong attacks that you've already used. And on top of it all, he even has long stride, sprint +2, and 20% stamina recovery to himself and the entire team. But now the 6-star skills, this guy's truly a menace because he's got Frenzy +2, so his strong attacks are going to be hitting 3 times the normal amount. He's got Debilitator, so his status elements will last a good long while. Havoc at 20%, so the range is pretty good. Guard Break plus hit hidden enemies, so he's going to be ignoring guard and hitting underground enemies. A Bruiser of 20% throwaway ability. Increased status element chance against power attribute enemies. It doesn't matter if the enemy is an Ronker, Soul Reaper, Hollow. This guy's going to be able to inflict status elements with ease. Devastation of 40%. He's got Team Party, increased speed, attribute character strong attack damage of 20%, which is really good. And on top of that, 20% Berserker. Really damn a nice set of skills. The only complaint that I have to give to this character is he doesn't have nullify melee resistance. That is the only bad thing about this character, but even then, for inheritance trials, he's gonna be a god. For everything else that you want to bring him in, he's gonna be a god. He's good. He's just really good. The only thing he's not really versatile in has to basically be guild quest, since he's gonna be mainly useful in 3 GQs out of 4 that this guy can normally do. So it's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Other than that, Uryu has an excellent set of skills that will pretty much put him on top with the most consistent damage that this guy is gonna be able to dish out. Now it's time to dive into my numero uno favorite character, the 3rd anniversary Ulquiorra remake. Now this guy has double killers too, just like Uryu, just that he has Hollow and Espada. Now Espada isn't really all that useful for PvE content, however, it's just really damn good for guild quests, as a matter of fact. This guy is going to be able to be really damn good for the Espada GQs, and he's even a nuker for that type of GQ. So that speaks volume in and of itself. He's got a strong attack reaches time of minus 12%. He is T20 with full stamina damage boost and weakened defense, just like Uryu. And going into the actual skills, sadly, he doesn't have a gauge mechanic, but he does have a bit more stuff for when it comes to crowd control. But now, taking a look at the stuff, he's got a 3K length beam on the SA1. He's got the 750 into homing vortex, really good for inflicting status elements. And then the third strong attack is full screen. Really damn good. He also has double status elements, just like Uryu. Has sharpshooter, so already that is the one thing that Ulquiorra is going to have an edge over Uryu. The fact that he's more versatile, he's going to be able to cleave through extreme co-op without needing the thick glasses and having guard break on top of it, long stride, and spurn +2 with the innate abilities. What about the 6-star abilities? He's got frenzy +1, so he's only going to be hitting twice on his strong attacks as opposed to Uryu where he hits 3 times. Debilitator, just like Uryu, he's got complete status immunity, so he's not going to be screwed over by any type of status element whatsoever. Bombardment +1, so he's going to be hitting really hard on his soul bomb. To top it off with devastation of 40%, so his soul bomb is going to be hitting even harder than Uryu, guaranteed. Status element spiritual pressure boost of 80%. So every time he inflicts a status element, you'll have his total 80% SP increased by 80%. So he's going to be able to temporarily outdamage Uryu every time he gets that to proc. However, you need the 80% SP buff to get his strong attacks to full use. A berserker of 40%, so pretty good. Increased strong attack damage whenever we have more Ronkers on the team. Right now, his base is 10%, but you can increase it up to 60% at max for epic rates and 40% at max for co-op quests. He also has 40% extra damage to status element affected enemies, and he buffs this to himself and all other Ronkers. And lastly, Havoc of 20%, which is really damn good. Ulquiorra is going to be a bit inconsistent when it comes to damage, and in terms of being able to heal up, sadly that is the only thing that he cannot do compared to Uryu, which is a bit strange because he can literally regenerate anything but his internal organs. He also doesn't have the increased status element chance against power mobs, which is also very unfortunate. That being said, he does have the SA2 that can help out with getting the status elements to proc in, but it's really not that good compared to how Uryu is built up. And yeah, he's just going to be lacking in the strong attack damage department. However, in terms of nuking and in terms of being able to use in every single content, you can use this character just fine compared to Uryu, because on top of being able to use him for 4 different GQs, you can pretty much use him in just about any GQ, so he's very versatile in that kind of game mode. In Inheritance Trials, he's going to be slacking. However, in Extreme Co-op, he's going to be better than Uryu in this case. Finally, it's time to go ahead and do the gameplay. So how are we going to do this? We're going to be doing 2 different runs. One will be in Inheritance Trials, and the other will be in Inheritance Zone. Now, sadly, I do not have the teacup for Ulquiorra, so the setup will be pretty much as goes. They will each have their respective strong attack damage accessory of 20% with the pill and the bait, and the links are gonna be triple hybrid SAR SAD setup with the best possible transcendent that I have given onto them. So with that being said and done, let us go ahead and get to comparing these 2 units. And those were the runs, lads. Uryu won over Ulquiorra in both Inheritance Trials and in Inheritance Zone. Even with Ulquiorra having killer advantage over Uryu, he was still clearing faster by a long shot. So now it's time to go ahead and jump on in with the pros and cons. Starting off with Ulquiorra, here are his pros. Sharpshooter. This skill makes it so that he can nullify ranged resistance, making him usable in both the melee and ranged holo rotations, as well as melee and ranged Espada. And even outside of that, you can bring this lad in any guild quest he doesn't have killer in, have him use the vortex to stunlock the enemy mobs, and let the side units do the finishing job to finish the quest, making Ulquiorra as versatile as 1000-Year Blower Yamamoto in guild quest. The skill also makes him by far the better unit over Uryu for extreme co-op, making it ideal for stacking up editing brushes and getting the medals to farm out the shop. You do not want to miss out on those Transcendence scrolls. Complete status immunity. He cannot be touched or slowed down by anything, making him the better autoer over Uryu, and you don't have to worry about getting screwed over by any puddles that take away your stamina or getting paralyzed, giving the enemy mobs an advantage to kill you. Second best soul bomb in the game. He's right behind Yamamoto in terms of nuking potential, and with him at 5.5, you can sub 1 his respective GQ weeks without having to reset non-stop. All that it requires is you have a good side unit to help finish the job, since he doesn't have double weakened defense like Yama. It also makes epic raids much faster to clear, especially when doing the awakened ones where the boss has double the health. And that's most of the good parts talked about Ulquiorra. Now that being said, he does have some minor flaws with the unit, so let's take a look at him. No consistent strong attack damage. Now Ulquiorra, when he gets the 80% SP boost, when Uryu doesn't have the gauge mechanic active, he is going to outdamage him. However, Uryu just had a way better edge over Ulquiorra just because of increased status element chance against all power mobs, which is something Ulquiorra does not have. Now he can still proc status elements thanks to that SA2 of his, but by then, Uryu just gets the job done a lot faster than him that it's not even funny. It's night and day between how they do strong attack wise. If he had that over the Oranka Resonance skill, it would have been better as a whole, even if it can be useful in stuff like epic raids when you carry the Grimjows. Kit has a couple flaws. What I mean by this is Ulquiorra has that SA2 which has a problem. Can be a hit or miss for most people, but let me explain. He has the 750 Entanglement Vortex. Still a very good strong attack. However, the strong attack upon activating leaves you locked in place, hindering the character from clearing faster. Now in PvE content, if you're worried about survivability, it's not a problem because every time you use a strong attack, you'll have invincibility frames until the animation cancel or the strong attack animation ends. In epic raids, if you use that SA2 and the boss attacks you, you're not going to be invincible and will lose health or potentially die. I find it very stupid because it's just a regular 750 upon starting the strong attack, and normally those types of strong attacks don't have the same effect as a crawling vortex or even the breath style vortex like Tokinada, where they leave you locked into place for half a second or even a full second. And you compare this to any unit that has the 960 Entanglement Vortex like Aizen, Ichigo, Byakuya, etc., they don't have that problem and have a much faster activation time. Sadly, it's very similar to Roka, Anime Uryu, and Spirits Are Forever With You, Shunsui, which is more than likely why that type of problem is there for this character. Again, this is my nitpick. I'm not saying that the strong attack is terrible, because it's far from it, just that it could have been better. And I guess one more nitpick is that his SA1 isn't as fast as Uryu, as it's behind by a microsecond in terms of activation time. But that's just a niche at this point. And I guess another point would be he has no stam recovery, but I feel like with his survivability and being immune to everything, that's not too much of an issue. Just dodge. But now let's move on over to Uryu. Here are his pros. Much faster and consistent. Uryu doesn't have an SA2 that stun locks himself for a second, and he doesn't even need to proc status element to kill everything. He's got 20% Berserker and the 20% extra SAD to all speed units, so the damage skill is pretty high, and as if that weren't enough, he has increased status element chance. So if Frenzy plus 2 weren't enough with his strong attacks hitting 3 times, he just has a guaranteed chance to inflict ailments and kill mobs in Inheritance Trials. Yeah, he's basically similar to 1000-Year Blower Anime Ichigo, but for speed. Oh, and let's not forget about the gauge mechanic. That's just way too broken on him. He literally gains 100% extra strong attack damage, and then once you activate it, your cooldowns will go down by a good 30%. He's a vampire. He drains and sucks the blood of his enemies. Okay, I think I need to shut the f up. By that, I mean he just has a lot of survivability, can easily sustain his stamina with just the touch of his strong attacks, and can inflict drain on top of weakening the foes. But that's not all. With his team party or stamina recovery skill, he's not only healing himself, but all of his party members, making him by far the best in both an offensive and supportive playstyle. Absolutely gorgeous. Anywho, now it's time to move on to the cons for Uryu, and here's what he has. No immunities. Yeah, he's not immune to anything. Not even paralysis, burn, poison, nothing. So sadly, unlike Ulquiorra, who is a lot more safe and can be used as a character for autoing even the most difficult content like 6th Anniversary Aizen to some extent because he can't heal, if you're not careful when playing as Uryu, you will get screwed over by puddles. If you get burnt or poisoned, that's not an issue. Pop those strong attacks. If you get paralyzed or frozen, it's GG's. You're dead. Hit or miss, I do feel like you can get by it as long as you know what you are doing, but this next one is pretty much what hurts the character. No nullifications. Funny enough, Uryu is the first anniversary character since after the 5th anniversary units to not get either Marauder or Sharpshooter. Now, you don't need to nullify melee resistance in Inheritance Trials, because it's not that important. However, it is going to affect him in Extreme Co-op, and most importantly, Guild Quests. In Extreme Co-op, you can slap on him the nerd headband and get away with doing Extreme Co-op just fine. I made a video about using him in the past, and he did better than I thought, so yeah, that can be salvaged. However, Uryu can only be used in 3 Guild Quests, whereas Ulquiorra can be used in 4, plus can be used in off-killer Guild Quests thanks to his kit, plus the bomb that he provides. So only good in melee Ronker and melee and ranged no affiliation GQ rotations, which is quite unfortunate. I'm sorry, but the guard break plus hidden enemy skill could have easily been Marauder, or instead of Bruiser being there as a skill, keep the current guard break plus hidden enemy skill and give him nullify melee resistance. Weaker Soul Bomb. I don't feel like I need to explain myself here, but Ulquiorra just has a clear advantage with nuking. He has 80% SP buff, bombardment, and devastation of 40%. Uryu's Soul Bomb is basically exactly the same as Kanfero no Chuhei, which can debuff the first wave of mobs, but not all of them. So unlike Ulquiorra, who doesn't need attention type 5-5 to clear out an entire wave of mobs in IT, Uryu needs it on the other hand. And with that being said and done, 2 different conclusions to draw here. Once again, as the last one. In terms of overall value, it goes to Ulquiorra. He is able to tackle on every single hard content in the game regardless of doing less consistent damage than Uryu, being immune to everything, usable in every piece of content, and still being able to hit decently hard thanks to the 80% SP buff, plus a Soul Bomb that almost rivals that of Yamamoto, just makes him the definitive best speed unit in the game despite the nitpicks I gave him. The second conclusion being damage. That goes to Ulquiorra again. Okay, let me stop being an old sim. Damage goes to Uryu. Faster unit, cleaves better than Ulquiorra, inflicts status ailment like a smooth knife spreading Nutella on bread. When he gets the gauge mechanic active, he goes beyond being a Quincy. He's still the 2nd strongest unit in the game, right behind Spirits Are Forever with Toshiro, and is the strongest speed unit in the game, kit and damage wise. Nothing is going to rival this character until we get something that is even more broken in the future. But at the end of the day, just play with who you guys like to play as the most. Just even having both of these units will just make playing the game easier for when it comes to speed only content, and that is why I pretty much picked Ulquiorra for the number 1 spot, and number 2 being Uryu for the speed units, value wise. Obviously for damage, I don't need to say anything else. Alright, now thank you guys for watching this video. I wanted to put this video out earlier, but there were basically 2 reasons as to why I pretty much had to delay this even further. One, I wanted to finish up all my top 10 videos throughout the month of January and managed to do that. And throughout the recording process, I basically fell sick, so I felt like I needed to wait until I was better to pretty much conclude the overall comparison. And yeah, if this video weren't out, you guys wouldn't even be seeing this right now. So I do want to apologize for the delay. I might do another one in the future, possibly between Ichigo, Lisa, and Mayuri, but until then, there are no comparison videos for me to put out. So yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, share this video with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and hit the bell notification so that way you guys are up to date with my most recent videos. This has been your boy, the Best Masher, and I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Take care, lads. Peace out.